Footsteps in the silent church. The rain was falling hard. Cold wind blew through the trees. Ethan pulled his coat tighter as he walked alone on the old country road. He had been walking for hours with no place to rest. His feet were wet. His hands were shaking. He needed shelter and fast. Then he saw it. An old stone church stood in the middle of the woods, half broken and forgotten. The windows were cracked. The wooden doors hung open, but it was better than sleeping in the rain. Ethan pushed the door slowly. It creaked, loud and dry. "Hello?" he called softly. No answer. He stepped inside. The smell of wet wood and dust filled the air. The church was dark, only lit by flashes of lightning outside. Pews were broken. The altar was covered in spider webs. But then, he heard something. A soft sound. A footstep. Then another. He stopped walking. His breath caught in his chest. He wasn't alone. "Who's there?" Ethan said, louder now. Silence. Then he heard it again. Movement, like something dragging on the floor. He turned his head toward the sound. Near the corner, behind a line of pews, something shifted. Ethan reached into his bag and took out a small flashlight. He turned it on and slowly walked toward the sound. His heart was beating fast. As the light hit the corner, his eyes widened. There, crouched in the shadows, was a woman. But she wasn't human. Her skin was pale blue and glowing faintly. Her eyes were wide and golden, filled with fear. She wore torn, dirty robes. Her hair looked silver, almost like moonlight. She was holding two small children tightly against her. They looked just like her, but smaller, thinner, trembling. Ethan froze. The woman gasped and held her children closer, ready to shield them. "Please," she whispered. Her voice was shaking. "Don't hurt us. We will leave. Just don't tell them. I'm not here to hurt you," Ethan said gently, lowering the flashlight. "I didn't know anyone was here. I just needed a place to stay." She didn't move. "Are you human?" she asked. "Yes. My name is Ethan. I'm just a traveler. That's all." He slowly sat on the ground to show he meant no harm. The woman looked at her children, then back at him. "We are hiding," she whispered. "They are looking for us." "Who?" Ethan asked. "The hunters. The ones who want to take my children." Ethan looked at the kids. They were so small. One had a cut on his arm. The other's lips were dry and cracked. The woman herself looked weak, like she hadn't eaten in days. "When did you last eat?" he asked. The woman didn't answer, but her eyes dropped. The children looked at her with hungry eyes. Ethan opened his bag. He had some old bread, dried fruit, and a small bottle of water. He slowly placed them on the floor and pushed them toward her. She hesitated, then quickly grabbed the food and gave it to her children. They ate fast, their little hands shaking. "Thank you," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "Thank you." "What's your name?" Ethan asked. "Sira." "And your children?" "Luma and Kale." He nodded. "You're safe now. At least for tonight." Suddenly, a loud crack of thunder hit outside. The children jumped. Sira held them close. "I don't know how long we can stay here," she said softly. "They have machines. They track by scent and heat. They will find us soon." Ethan looked around the church. There were broken benches, old tools, candles, nothing useful. No weapons, no security, just walls and silence. Still, he had to help them. "You can stay here tonight," he said. "I'll keep watch." "You don't even know us," Siram said, confused. "I don't need to," Ethan replied. "I just know what it's like to have no one." The children were now sleeping, their small bodies curled up beside their mother. Sira watched Ethan closely. Her eyes were tired, her face held deep pain, but also a little hope. "I wasn't sure if your kind would help," she said. "Most fear us." "I'm not most people," Ethan answered with a tired smile. Outside, the storm continued, but Inside the church, a small warmth had started to grow. Unseen far above in the clouds, a blinking red light hovered, watching the old church, and deep in the forest, something else began to move. The hunters were coming. Please don't hurt us. The morning sun had not yet risen, but the rain had stopped. Inside the cold, broken church, a small fire flickered, just enough to keep the air warm. Ethan sat near the door, his back against a stone wall, eyes fixed on the shadows. He hadn't slept. Not even for a second. Behind him, the alien woman. Sira and her children were curled up on an old dusty rug. The little girl, Luma, mumbled in her sleep. The boy, Kale, coughed softly. Their mother had wrapped her thin body around them to keep them warm. Ethan looked at them and wondered, what did they do to deserve this kind of fear? He was just a mechanic, a wanderer. But last night, something inside him had changed. He couldn't walk away, not now. Suddenly he heard a strange sound, a metallic click, not from inside, outside. He stood up slowly and reached for his tool bag. No weapons, just a screwdriver, a small wrench, and an old flashlight. But it was better than nothing. He moved toward the church door and peeked through the crack. His eyes narrowed. A drone, black, silent, and scanning, floating low over the grass, blinking with red lights. Ethan rushed back inside and knelt next to Sira. He shook her gently. Wake up. They're here. Her eyes shot open. No. She stood quickly and pulled her children close. We have to run, she said. Now. Running won't help, Ethan whispered. The forest is open, they'll see you. We can't stay. They'll burn this place down. Then we make them think you're not here, he said. She looked confused. How? Ethan grabbed his coat and hat. I'll go out. I'll lead it away. You'll be caught, she said. Her voice trembled. They'll take you. Ethan looked at her. I'm human. They won't care. But if they find you, they'll take the children. Sira hesitated. She reached out and grabbed his hand. It was the first time she touched him. Please, she whispered. Don't get hurt because of us. He gave her a soft smile. I'll be back. Just keep them quiet. He stepped out into the morning fog. Ethan walked slowly, hands raised, moving toward the floating drone. It turned and faced him, scanning with a soft blue light. Just a human, Ethan muttered loudly, pretending to be annoyed. Trying to sleep in peace. What the hell is this thing? The drone hovered in front of him, scanning his body. It circled once, then it spoke in a robotic voice. No alien life form detected. Area scan complete. Then it flew upward and disappeared over the trees. Ethan exhaled slowly. He walked back to the church, but before he reached the door, he noticed something new. Boot prints. Big, deep, heavy, and fresh. Someone else is already here, he thought. He rushed back inside and quickly locked the door. Sira looked at him, eyes wide. What happened? The drone left, he said. But someone's nearby, not a drone. A person. Her face went pale. It's one of them, she said. They wear black armor, red eyes. If they see the children, I won't let that happen, Ethan said. I have an idea. Ethan pushed an old wooden table against the front door. Then he took the children and helped Sira hide them beneath the altar, behind loose stones. It was tight, but they fit. Not make a sound, Ethan whispered. No matter what happens, don't come out unless I call you. Sira looked into his eyes. Why are you helping us? He hesitated. Then he said, because no one helped my sister, and I can't let that happen again. Before she could ask more, there was a loud bang at the door. Someone was outside. Then a second bang, harder. Wood cracked. Open the door, a voice demanded. It was low, cold, not human. Ethan grabbed his wrench and walked to the door. His Heart pounded in his chest. "I'm just a traveler," he shouted. "Who are you?" The voice answered, "This building is under scan. Surrender any alien species. You have 10 seconds. Ethan held his breath. 10 seconds. That's all he had. "They're hunting the children." The door groaned louder as something heavy slammed against it again. Ethan didn't move. His hand held the wrench tight, his knuckles turning white. He could hear Sira's soft breathing from behind the altar where she hid with the children. They were silent now. Not even a whimper. "Last warning, human," the voice outside growled. "We know the scent of hybrid blood. Open the door, or we will burn it down." Ethan's heart raced. Hybrid blood? What did that mean? He looked back, at the altar. Sira had said the children were special, but he hadn't asked why. Now he understood. Whoever was hunting them didn't just want them gone. They feared them, and that made the children even more important to protect. He spoke loudly. "I told you I'm alone." Silence. Then came a strange hissing sound. Gas, being sprayed through a crack in the wall. Smoke. Poison. Ethan coughed and rushed to block the gap with an old cloth. But the gas was fast, heavy, sharp in the nose. The children. He rushed back to the altar. Sira had already covered them with her robe, her face buried in their hair. "They're trying to flush us out," she whispered, choking. "Not on my watch," Ethan growled. With no weapons and no way to escape, Ethan thought fast. He remembered the church had a bell tower. Maybe there was an old ladder. Maybe he could draw the hunters away. "Stay here," he told Sira. "No matter what happens." He grabbed a rusted candle holder and lit the end like a torch. Then he took the cloth, soaked in the gas, wrapped it tight, and kicked open the back. Tarba, the wind hit him hard. He dashed out the side of the church and ran along the stone wall, tossing the burning rag into the woods behind. Flames erupted. Smoke rose high into the sky. Within seconds he heard movement, footsteps rushing toward the fire. Good, it worked. He climbed up the outer side of the church wall, gripping stones and broken wood, crawling toward the bell tower. His body burned with effort, but he made it. From the top he could see the whole forest. And now, he saw them, 3 black-armored hunters, tall, not quite human, red visors glowing, guns with blue lights. One was scanning the fire. Another stood in the clearing, turning his head slowly. And the third? He was walking back toward the church, too. Fast, Ethan thought. He's heading right for them. Inside the church, Sira held her breath. The children were asleep now, weak from hunger and fear. She looked up and whispered to herself, "Please let that human return, please." But before she could pray more, the door burst open. The third hunter stepped in. He moved slowly, scanning with a device. It beeped once, twice. Getting closer. Sira didn't move. She held her babies tight and didn't even blink. The hunter walked past the altar. Then he stopped. His scanner let out a long beep. He turned, and in that moment, crash. Ethan dropped from above and landed right on the hunter's back, swinging his wrench into the helmet. Sparks flew. The hunter roared and threw Ethan against the wall. Ethan gasped in pain, blood on his lip. But he stood, and he smiled. "You found me," he said, panting. "Too bad I'm the only one here." The hunter raised his gun, but Sira stood up from behind the altar, her eyes glowing bright blue. "No," she said, voice steady now. "You will not take them." Before the hunter could shoot, Sira raised her hands, and a wave of force blasted out from her palms, slamming the hunter into the far wall with a deafening crash. Ethan's jaw dropped. "What was that?" Sira fell to her knees, shaking. "I used too much," she whispered. "I can't do it again." Ethan ran to her and helped her up. "Then we move now." He led them out the back, through the old graveyard behind the church. The fire in the woods had spread and smoke covered their tracks. They ran through the trees, Ethan carrying Kale while Sira held Luma close. They didn't know where they were going, only that they had to keep moving. Behind them, one of the hunters stood again, damaged, angry, and now he knew exactly what they were protecting. Trapped inside sacred walls. The forest was thick, and the smoke from the fire still drifted in the air like ghosts. Ethan's legs burned as he ran, the small alien boy Cale held tight against his chest. Behind him, Sira moved quickly, even while carrying her daughter Luma in her arms. They didn't speak. They didn't stop. Every sound in the forest, cracking, twigs howling wind felt like an enemy. After what felt like hours, they reached an old stone ruin. It wasn't much, just broken walls, moss-covered bricks, and a fallen roof. But it was hidden, quiet, and for now, safe. Ethan set Cale down gently. The boy was burning with fever. Sira placed Luma on a dry patch of ground and quickly checked Cale's pulse. Her fingers trembled. Her lips pressed tight. "He's getting worse," she whispered. "Is it from the gas?" Ethan asked. She nodded slowly. "He's part human now. His body doesn't fight poisons like ours." Ethan felt guilt crawl up his spine. "If only I had done more." "I have a med kit in my cabin," he said suddenly. "It's old, but it might help." "Where is it?" "Too far to walk with him like this," Ethan muttered, looking at the boy's pale face. "But I have an idea." He scanned the broken walls and spotted what looked like a forgotten wine cellar entrance, small, half-covered in vines. "We stay here for the night," Ethan said. "I'll block the cellar entrance and make a signal trap." Sira looked confused. "What kind of trap?" "One that doesn't kill," he said, "but gives us warning." Inside the cellar, the air was cold and damp. Ethan carefully helped. Sira settled the children down. He used old cloths and his own jacket to make a bed. Then he returned outside, gathering branches and dry leaves. He didn't have weapons, but he had tricks. He tied vines to branches and made noise traps. Old hunter methods from Earth. A single step, and the whole forest floor would scream. Back. Inside, he found Sira holding Luma close while Cale coughed in his sleep. "You don't have to stay," she said quietly. "Yes, I do. You don't owe us anything." Ethan knelt beside her. "You said the hunters are after the children because of their blood. Why?" Sira didn't answer right away. Then she spoke softly. "They're hybrids, part of me and part of the human I once trusted." Ethan stared. "You had a human partner?" "No, I was forced. A science lab took my DNA, created life with it. My children were not born from love. They were born from war experiments." She looked at her sleeping son. "But I love them, more than life itself." Ethan felt his chest tighten. "These children," she continued, "are not just rare, they're proof. Proof that alien and human life can merge. Some want to use them, others want them erased." Ethan's fists clenched. "Then we protect them," he said. "Together." That night the traps remained quiet. But just before dawn, Ethan heard it, a soft click, then another. He froze. Something had triggered the trap near the north wall. He grabbed his flashlight, took a sharp stone in his hand, and crept out. The forest was dark, too quiet. Then he saw movement, a black figure slipping through the trees. But this one was different. Smaller, faster. Not a soldier, a tracker. It had 4 limbs, crawling like a spider, its eyes glowing green. Not a drone, Ethan thought. Not a soldier. Something worse, something designed to sniff them out. He turned to run back to the cellar, but it was too late. The tracker let out a shriek, and suddenly, more footsteps echoed through the forest. They were surrounded. Sira woke to the sound of Ethan crashing into the cellar. "They found us," he gasped. "We have minutes, maybe less." She grabbed her children and stood. "What do we do?" Ethan looked around. "We collapse the entrance." "What?" "If they can't get in, they might leave, or at least give me time to draw them away again." "I won't let you die," she snapped. "I'm not planning to. he said, pulling out a flare. I'll set this off in the opposite direction. Draw them toward it. She stared at him. You risk everything for children that aren't yours. They are now. He placed Kale in her arms, kissed Luma gently on the forehead, then ran out the back of the cellar and into the dawn light. As he disappeared into the trees, Sira whispered, Please come back. Outside, the tracker raised its head and followed. A human's brave stand. Ethan ran. Branches slapped his face. Roots caught his boots. But he didn't stop. Behind him, the tracker's screech echoed through the trees. It was close, too close. Ethan looked down at the flare in his hand, his only weapon. He had one chance. He turned sharply, sliding through mud and ducked behind a fallen log. He lit the flare. Whoosh! A red flame burst into the air, smoke rising high above the forest. He tossed it far toward the west and ran the opposite way, toward the open ridge. It worked. The tracker stopped, scanned the smoke, then darted toward it. Ethan kept moving. His chest burned. His body screamed, but he smiled. They're safe for now. Back in the ruined cellar, Sira held her children close. Kale's breathing was weak but steady. Luma stirred in her arms, whispering her brother's name in her sleep. Sira didn't cry. She couldn't afford tears. She only stared at the broken cellar roof and whispered Ethan's name. He had done more for them than anyone ever had, and he might never come back. On the ridge, Ethan finally stopped. He was bleeding from the shoulder, scraped hard on a sharp tree limb. He looked back toward the smoke. The red flare was dying now, and then he saw them. 2 black-armored hunters standing near the fire. One knelt, the other scanned the area, their weapons pointed forward. But then, they turned. They began walking, slowly, steadily, toward him. They knew Ethan had been seen. He backed away, but his leg buckled. He fell to his knee, panting. Then, he made his stand. He stood tall, held up his hands, and shouted, You want someone? You found him. The hunters paused. You're protecting hybrids, one said coldly. I'm protecting children, Ethan answered. They're not your property. They are not yours either. They are now. The hunter raised his arm, his weapon glowing blue. Ethan didn't move. He didn't run. If he died here, the children would live. But suddenly, before the weapon could fire, something loud echoed across the sky. Boom! A strange, deep hum filled the air. The clouds parted, and a massive ship, dark and silver, appeared above the trees. Sira's eyes widened from the cellar. She whispered, No, not them. The ship was not part of the hunter squad. It was something worse. A royal genetic collector. A ship built to capture rare blood. Sira had once escaped it. Now it had found her again. A large voice echoed from the sky. DNA signature confirmed. Specimens must be retrieved alive. Ethan stared at the ship. Specimens? He muttered. You mean the kids? The 2 hunters backed away. They were afraid too. This wasn't a rescue for them. It was a reclaim order. They looked at Ethan one last time and vanished into the trees. Now he was alone again, but not with hunters, with something worse. The ship dropped, a glowing cage-like pod floating just above the forest floor. It pulsed with energy. A door opened, and from it, a tall, white-suited alien stepped out. No armor, no weapon, just a scanner, and cold eyes. He walked toward Ethan. You are not authorized, the alien said. Ethan's fists clenched. I'm not giving them up. They belong to the Sovereign Labs. They belong to her. And me. The alien raised the scanner. You are injured. Weak. Step aside. Ethan didn't. He gripped a rock from the ground and hurled it. It hit the alien, in the chest. Nothing happened. But Ethan stood firm. I'll die before I let you take them. Back at the cellar, Sira looked at her sleeping children. She could feel it now. The air around them was changing. Something was pulling, a soft vibration, like a signal in her blood. She kissed Kale and Luma on the forehead, then stood. She climbed out of the cellar and faced the sky. She could see the ship, and she knew Ethan was making a stand for her family, but he could not do it alone. Blood on the altar. Sira stood at the edge of the ruined cellar. The cold wind lifted her silver hair and her glowing eyes stared up at the sky. The ship hovered like a god above the forest. It didn't care about trees or humans or lives. It only cared about one thing, the children's blood. Behind her, Kale let out a small cry. His body was getting colder. His skin was turning pale blue. Luma was trying to wake him, gently shaking his arm. Sira turned to them. "He's fading," she whispered. She touched Kale's forehead. Her hand glowed faintly, but it wasn't enough. Her power was almost gone. Suddenly Luma looked up with wide eyes. "Mama," she said softly. "I feel something in my chest, like it's waking up." Sira's breath caught. Could it be? Far away, Ethan stood facing the white-suited alien. The alien raised his scanner again. "You are still in our way." Ethan stepped forward. His shoulder bled, but his voice stayed firm. "Then you'll have to go through me." The alien stared at him. No emotion, no hate, just calculation. "You are not part of the equation. You're wrong," Ethan replied. "I'm the only part that matters." The alien tilted its head and took a step closer. Then a sharp, glowing pulse hit the air. Boom! A wave of blue light rippled across the forest. The scanner in the alien's hand sparked and shattered. Ethan and the alien both turned toward the source, the ruined church. Sira stood in front of the broken altar, her eyes now glowing fully blue. A soft ring of energy spun around her wrists. Her hands trembled, but she was focused. Behind her, Kyle's body was wrapped in light. Luma knelt beside him, her little hands glowing with the same strange power. Sira whispered, "You are more than weapons, my children. You are life." She took a deep breath, then did something dangerous. She cut her own palm and let her glowing blue blood drip onto the altar stones. The ground shook. Ethan felt the vibration under his feet. The alien turned toward the church, and for the first time, he looked uneasy. Inside the ship, alarms blared. A voice echoed inside the AI system. "Genetic catalyst triggered. Prototype awakening detected." The ship began to shift. New pods dropped from the sky. Collectors, silver orbs with red lights began, floating down toward the altar. Ethan ran. He didn't know how, but he knew he had to reach the church before those pods did. Sira fell to one knee, exhausted. Her blood had mixed with ancient earthstones. It had called something old. A voice spoke in her mind, her mother's voice from years ago. "If the children ever awaken, protect them from both your kind and theirs. Their blood is a door to something we don't understand." Kale opened his eyes. They were glowing white now. Not blue. White. Pure. He sat up slowly, breathing deep. Luma's hand stayed in his. "I saw something, Mama," he whispered. "In the dark, a star. It told me we are not alone." Sira smiled with tears in her eyes. "I know, Kale, but now you must protect your sister. Stay inside, don't come out, no matter what happens." The first collector orb crashed through the ceiling. Sira faced it. It charged a red beam, but before it could fire, Ethan burst through the side door, slamming the orb with a metal rod, smashing it into the stone wall. "Nice timing," Sira said, surprised. He grinned. "Never miss Sunday prayer." 2 more orbs entered. Ethan kicked one, dodged the other. Sira raised her arms. A shield of blue energy formed for a second, then faded. She was running out of strength. "They want the children," she shouted. "I'm not letting them take anyone." Ethan roared, throwing his last flare directly at the orb. It exploded in sparks. Then the white-suited alien stepped inside the church. His suit shimmered with tech. He saw the glowing children behind the altar. He walked forward. "This Is not your fight, human. You're right, Ethan said. It's our fight. Sierra stood next to him, weak but upright. Together, she said. The alien raised his hand, but before he could strike, Kyle stood, glowing, silent, calm. He raised his own hand, and the alien froze. Don't touch my family, Kyle said. Wave of white light exploded from his body. The church shook. Walls cracked. The collector pods shattered midair. The alien's suit powered down and sent him flying across the altar. Ethan shielded Sierra and Luma with his body as debris fell. Then, silence. When the dust settled, Kale stood quietly, holding his sister's hand. Sierra fell to her knees again, this time in relief. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. They're not just hybrids, he whispered. There's something more. She nodded slowly. They're the future, the man who became their home. The sky was quiet now. The warship was gone. The broken church stood in the soft light of morning. Its walls cracked, its roof scorched. Smoke rose from the shattered collector pods. The battle was over. But what mattered most had survived. Ethan sat on the cold stone floor, arms wrapped gently around Luma, who was fast asleep against his chest. Her tiny hand still glowed faintly, but the light was calm now, peaceful. Beside him, Sierra knelt by Kyle, who was breathing strong again. His eyes, once white and blinding, were now soft, bright blue. The boy stared up at his mother, confused, but smiling. Did I do something wrong? He asked in a quiet voice. No, Kale, she whispered. You did something beautiful. Ethan winced as he stood. His wounds from the night before had stiffened, and his shoulder was still bleeding, but he didn't care. He looked at Sierra, and she looked at him. So, he said softly, does this mean we're done running? Sierra sighed. Not forever. They'll come again. Others will learn what the children did. But we'll be ready next time, Ethan said. Together. She smiled, tired, but real. Later that day, Ethan helped move the family to his old cabin, hidden deep in the forest. It was small and simple, wooden walls, 2 rooms, and a fire pit, but it was safe. Sierra stepped inside slowly, her arms wrapped around both children. She looked around and whispered, It's warm here. It's not much, Ethan said, but it's home. Sierra turned and looked at him. No, she said softly. You're home. Weeks passed. The sky stayed quiet. No ships, no drones. Sierra and Ethan worked side by side. He built stronger walls. She taught him how to mix forest herbs to heal his wounds. The children laughed again. Luma began drawing stars in the dirt. Kale asked questions, so many questions about Earth and humans. At night, they ate together under the stars, and slowly, the fear faded. One evening, as the wind turned cool, Kale climbed into Ethan's lap. Are you our dad now? He asked. Ethan blinked. Do you want me to be? Kale looked at his sister, then at his mother, then back at Ethan. You saved us. You stayed. You make Mama smile. That's what a dad is, right? Ethan swallowed hard. His throat felt tight. Yeah, Kale. That's what a dad is. Sierra was standing at the doorway watching. She didn't say a word, but her eyes said everything. The next morning, Ethan woke to the sound of quiet humming. He walked outside and found Sierra near the garden, her hands glowing as she touched the soil. Small green shoots were growing, fast. Ethan smiled. Using your powers to speed things up? Sierra nodded. I want this place to live. He walked. Closer. So do I. She stood and faced him. I've been thinking, she said. Maybe we don't have to hide forever. Maybe we can build something. Here. You mean like a real home? She nodded. For them. For us. Ethan stepped closer. You sure you want a human in that picture? I didn't just want one, she said. I needed to know if one could care. And you proved it. She reached out and took his hand. I've seen more kindness in your broken hands than in all the worlds I've run from. Ethan smiled. You make me feel like I matter. You always did, she said. That night, as stars lit the sky, Ethan sat on the porch with Kale and Luma on either side of him. Sierra sat close, her shoulder against his. The children looked up. Tell us a story, Dad, Luma said. Ethan blinked again at the word, but this time he smiled wide. All right, he said. Once upon a time, there was a frightened alien family hiding in an old church, and just when they thought the whole universe had forgotten them, a very tired man with no home stumbled inside. What happened next? Kyle asked. Ethan looked at Sierra, and she answered, They gave each other something no one else could, a new beginning.